Hi friends, in today's video we'll discuss some terminologies which are related to labor. These are very essential and these are the things which are tested very frequently. So I'll not take much. We'll talk only with respect to anatomy. Okay, this is the major things. Okay, this is the major thing. Okay, and with respect to this we'll talk what are the things. So what are the things which you see? So this is the uterus and here example there is a baby. Okay. First definition is life. Okay, life. I have this a picture is I have this a pictorial memory. See what is life? It's the relationship between the long axis of fetus. Okay, long axis of fetus to the centralized uterus. Okay, it can be like this or it can be even like this. Even the baby can be like in a transverse. So what is the main thing? It's the relationship between the long axis of center of uterus with respect to fetus. Okay, this is like, that is, how is the baby lying with how with respect to a centralized uterus. So what is that important thing which people miss on definition is, if you don't correct the size of it, if you don't make this uterus centralized, then it's not like, okay, you should make the uterus lie in a central position by pushing it to one side. Okay, this is the first definition which you should know. I'm not writing down, I'm making some picture image based memory so that it retains for long time. L, that is long axis of uterus with the long axis of fetus. Okay, clear? I hope this is clear. Now what is attitude? So attitude is what? Attitude, let me take the next page itself for your ease. So attitude is relationship of different fetal parts to one another. So uh, learn it this way. Okay, so for example, if this is fetus, is it flexed? Is it flexing all its organs? I mean all its limbs, or if it's extending all its limbs? So here, remember, I'll make it this way. Let me. There is no anything related to mother. If it is attitude, it is only related to fetus. Okay, so that is the main thing. So attitude is relationship of fetus, of different fetal parts, of different fetal parts to one another. Can be either flexed or extended and other various things. Here also you can either have you can have transverse lies or oblique lie, all those things. So two definitions done, that is lie and attitude. How do you remember attitude? Remove maternal pelvis and all the stuff. Okay. So I'll write it here. Okay. This is our what is lie? This is attitude. Correct. Now, what is the next important thing which you need to know as a terminology is your presentation. Okay. See, I remember like this. Again, we'll draw a diagram for your ease. Okay. This is the lower part of its uterus. Here you have the fetus. Yeah, I know my handwriting is not bad. Okay, fine. This now we are studying about the presentation. So what is presentation? What occupies the lower pole of uterus is your presentation. Okay, what occupies the, see what is occupying here? You can say buttocks. Okay, so that is the presentation. What occupies this part of this is a presentation. Now there is something called as presenting part. So what is presenting part is when you do a PV, what you feel. Okay, when you do a PV and what you feel of fetus. Okay, that is presenting part. Okay, for example, you do a PV and you get head, that is cephalic. If you get buttocks, that is some, that is, but you are getting a but kind of presenting part. Okay, so presentation is what occupies the internal os, but presenting part is a clinical the clinical method to say what is present, but you cannot say this is the presenting part in present. Okay, so remember like this, presentation is what you do, but presenting part is what you perceive. Okay, presenting part is what you feel, but this is what you perceive. Remember like that. Then there's something called as denominator. Okay, see what is for example, this is numerator. Denominator is what we are discussing. So for that, basically, what is numerator? You have to know. That is your fetus. Okay. Denominator is something which occupies, is something related to bony reference which you talk about. Okay. So yeah, it could be anything. So whatever, it can be your occiput or your bony reference. Okay, so that is something to do with denominator. So remember, denominator is an important thing which you should know. Now this denominator can be made clear with respect to our pelvis. Okay, draw diagrams. So what is this? This is the anterior part. This is the posterior part. Okay, and what can be the presenting part? Based on that, it can be either a occiput. Correct, that is what we are most interested in, and only in occiput kind of presentation we try for normal. Correct, so it has to be occiput. Okay, now based on angle, it can be either anterior or transverse or posterior. Okay, here it is anterior and here it is posterior. Okay, clear. Now what is this part of it? This is right part, this is left part. Okay, so right, all right, 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 here left. Okay, here based on your presentation, your presenting part, I told you, it can be occiput. What is this? Anterior. What is this? Posterior. What is this? Transverse. What is this? Anterior, posterior, transverse. Okay, this is the most common position. So in a nutshell, in broad, remember A, B, C. So first side says you about the first letter, says you about the side. Second talks about the presenting part. Third one talks about your angle. Okay, so if you know this in broad, then all your position should be in your hand. So what happens is that during delivery, most likely it has to be in a LOT position, then it turns and you get the normal vaginal delivery. So do you remember this? The major take-home message from this class is to know the terminology. Terminology is as such, if you know, you have to learn the definition as such. Okay, so we discussed about lie. This is the memory-based things which I want you to remember. Then we discussed about attitude, so that we draw the maternal pelvis, we rubbed off, and we made sure that attitude is something to do only with fetus, nothing else. Then we talked about presentation and presenting part and how both of them differs, and we talked about denominator, that is the bony reference which we talked about. Then all those this is the clear thing which we discussed so that we have a good idea of the positions of the baby's head during a normal delivery. And we discussed in broad how to go about it. That's it for today. I know this was a boring class, but this is something which you should know as such. Okay, thank you.